Perfect. So it's funny. I had an Outlook invite for 4:50, and I decided to come in an hour earlier, only to realize that my speech is like right now. Perfect timing, huh? That being said, I was hoping that you would start like you did yesterday with the book, so that I have a segue. Oh, so glad you showed the book. Blah blah. But it's okay. It's all good. We can do that later. How's everybody doing? I come to these events to talk to people. So a little bit of energy, if you give it back to me, that would be great. Then I can talk back to you. How's everybody doing? Let's go. All right. We're going to talk about Gen Z. So why don't you guys get your spirits up and let's talk TikTok and a little bit about what we need to learn, unlearn, etc. The reason why I'm talking about the age of influencer-led brands, you'll get to find out in a second. So if you've attended this presentation from my side before, I'll make it up to you by talking to you about something else right after. But in case you haven't, has anyone attended this presentation from my side before? Perfect. Excellent. Just to show how popular I actually am. How many of you know this brand right here, Vitamin Water? All right. So in about 2004, I don't know if you remember who was up in the scene, but there were two people on Earth who were really popular. One was Jay-Z and the other was 50 Cent. The guy who left Sprite to join Vitamin Water, his name was Rohan Oza, one of the greatest marketers ever. He had the number of one of these two guys. He decided to call 50 Cent and he said, listen, I left Sprite, big company, established brand, to work for this obscure company called Vitamin Water. I don't have the money to pay you, but if I may, let me give you some equity, put the brand on your back, promote it all over the world, and you get some money back. 50 Cent, he actually agreed to doing this. He signed a partnership deal with Vitamin Water. Every single music video that you saw back then from him, you will see Vitamin Water. There, you're nodding, so that means you know what I'm talking about. His association with the brand led to a lot of buzz. Everybody started talking about Vitamin Water all of a sudden. And next thing you know, Rohan Oza and the Vitamin Water team goes back to Coke and they sell it for $4.1 billion. So this is the offset of influencer-led marketing to a certain degree, because what we're seeing right now are shades of this very partnership right before our eyes. I'm going to share a little bit of details about what we are doing as existing brands and what you can also do if you're running a brand of your own, all right? Oh, yeah, sorry, about me. She covered a little bit. So my name is Hamza. I'm listed on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. I'm not under 30 anymore for marketing in Europe. My team and I won the Innovator of the Year award in 2023. We just won the Digital Experience Award in 2025 a couple weeks back. I judge a lot of marketing awards, global agency awards, etc., drum marketing awards, and I'm one of the professors. Well, officially lecturer, but they call it a professor. My professor friends mind when I say that. So lecturer at the Swiss Creator Academy. And I've also been working with a lot of A-list celebrity managers. A-list celebrities managing the A-list celebrities in the past. And currently I'm the CMO of Convenience House, which is actually the master franchisee and the parent company of Subway Switzerland. So I'm the CMO of Subway Switzerland, Convenience House. I was the chief marketing officer of Dunkin', but I'm the officiated chief marketing officer of Dunkin' right now because of Convenience House. And also there's a third brand that we represent, which is called Madame Some. I know it's a Game of Thrones, very long introduction, but yeah, this is the brand I presented yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to try the dumplings, I feel bad for you. And yeah, currently we're ushering in a new era of Subway Switzerland. The funny thing is I started giving this presentation to a lot of corporates a couple months back, for free, of course. And that's when I said I'm loading a new era of Subway Switzerland. Ironically, my team and I, we really worked hard day and night, and lo and behold, the new era of Subway Switzerland is really here. We're doing pretty well. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But yeah, let's get back to my presentation. So let's go to the rise of influencer brands and how marketing is changing. People buy from people they trust and not faceless corporations. Duh, if this wasn't obvious enough. What's happening these days is they're going to fall for the people who are representing the brand and the founder stories a lot more. I touched upon this yesterday a little bit. Everybody knows Steve Jobs, and that's why they followed Apple back when it was rising. I was going to take another name, but he's too political right now, so I'm not going to say it. Elon Musk. So, like people follow the founders a lot more than they are following the companies. Of course, then you ride and die on that brand. If you don't do your job well as a founder, you also take it to the other direction. However, it does show that influencer marketing is working, particularly when influencers are creating their own brands. And this is why it matters, because when people are buying from people, and they're not trusting the faceless corporations. They want to see somebody who is the driving force behind that brand, because there is this vicarious verification. They want to follow your journey with you. So when I think of Screver, the company that invited me here today, I think of Christian because I met him in person, and to me, there's like a face to the company. And this is what a lot of people are expecting as well. Here's a good example. This is a company that's very similar to Vitamin Water. How many of you know this brand right now? Prime? Okay. Go ask your 15 to 20-year-old and ask them what this brand is, and you will have a very different reaction from them when you talk about this particular brand. And that's because of Logan Paul and KSI, two really big influencers on the planet. Just 2023 alone, $1.2 billion in sales. It's a sports drink energy company that competes with Gatorade, Vitamin Water, etc. The reason why this marketing is working is because of the increased brand credibility. So if Logan Paul and KSI say it's a great product, the odds of you trusting them are a lot higher. Obviously, this doesn't work if the product isn't good. Their strategy was good because they talked about how low calorie the product was, and it's really doing well for them. When you have somebody like Logan Paul or 50 Cent or somebody like that promoting your product, you have enhanced product visibility overnight. You don't have to buy all those billboards. You don't have to go book all those influencers. It helps a lot with spreading your message, perpetuating whatever you need to about that brand way faster, because it's PR and it's marketing at the same time. And that's where you have direct engagement with your target audience. And this is the most important part. When I launch a product at Dunkin' Donuts or Subway, in the first 5 days, automatically know if the product is going to work or not. It takes me a couple months to run a campaign just to figure out, okay, if it has XYZ engagement to views ratio, if the bounce rate is so and so, I already know if the product is going to succeed or not, and that's where we keep changing the products overnight. So, what is the Prime strategy? How are they actually doing so well? Well, they partner with a lot of key brands. If you watch UFC right now, WWE, if you look at a lot of soccer athletes like Alicia Lehman, they're working with everybody in almost every single sport that is representing their target audience well, and this is where the credibility enters into the sports domain. Every time you watch UFC, they're creating that point of parity with the UFC, with WWE, with football, and that's why they're doing well. But the way they're perpetuating their message is even more important. Just look at some of the content they're making. It's pretty engaging. It's out of the ordinary. There used to be a time where you would commission these big budget production companies to make like some cool ads. These days, you don't need 1 or 2 commercials a year. You need like 3 commercials a day. But to do that, you need the right kind of people to champion the brand. It's a lot cheaper to partner with an influencer who can take your brand, put it on their back, just like 50 Cent was doing with his music videos, but on 3 to 4 videos a day, promoting it the way they're doing it. Emma Chamberlain, another example, because when I say Logan Paul, people think he's too big now because he's been boxing, Floyd Mayweather, and doing all of these things. That's why I like to present some more case studies. Like Emma Chamberlain, she just launched her coffee brand, and as somebody running Dunkin's second largest coffee chain on the planet, I'm pretty impressed with what she's up to. The content is pretty engaging. It's quite interesting. She's a YouTuber, and she's already made $20 million in 2023. So when you see all these people in Switzerland talking about matcha, you need to understand that this is coming from somewhere, and these are the influencers that are championing this. She's currently retailing her products with 8,500 retailers. Actually, it's more now. And the reason is, and the question is, how are they doing this? It's because they're using their social media reach. They're making sure that the brands that they're promoting them, they're subscribing to every single thing they're perpetuating. And just as another example, I know this is the second Paul brother that I'm mentioning, but I really like this example as well. This is a masterclass in the making. A lot of people have missed out on the Prime bandwagon, so they don't know how this was done. If you want to see how it's doing in real time, this is another one right in front of you. This is W by Jake Paul. It's called W. All right, it's not called it W. It's called W. Just to be clear. This is the kind of content that he's doing. Pretty viral, kind of crazy, out of the ordinary. And the best part is the way they're convincing you on a daily basis, because these days we have algorithms that actually seek out the right audience for the right kind of content. So they don't just make this or that kind of content, they make all kinds of content that they know their target audience likes. The algorithm plays its part. The reason why I'm talking about the algorithm is because I'm here at the AI CX bubble. So when we do our performance marketing these days, AI helps quite a bit. It plays a huge part in finding out what we got to do. Oh, why did it go to the next slide? Subway. I wonder why this is here. So this is a brand that's doing really, really well. I may be biased saying this, but they're doing pretty well in Switzerland right now. just to show you what we are doing with the same approach that we discovered everybody else succeeding with. Sales are rising, traffic is rising, and don't take my word for it. Google it, like what happened last month. Subway was one of the highest ranked brands in Switzerland out of nowhere. And this is because we're trying to speak to the target audience the way they want to be spoken to. Our comments, our engagement is insanely high compared to what it used to be. And this is the kind of content we're doing. Simple, effective, but it works. Just to show you an example of what was happening in the kind of events that we're promoting. You guys speak Swiss German, right? Nobody's nodding. The video that you saw before was the one we used to promote this event. We had 550 people showing up at this event, and this was not a one-off wonder. So I've been doing this for a while with Duncan as well. Just to show you some example, this is where we had 5,000 people showing up. Every single location. By the way, these are not store openings, and these events specifically, we were not really giving out free products. People were buying stuff. We were doing limited time merch drops. How many of you know what merch is? Merchandise, yeah. Otherwise, ask your 20-year-old at home. I'm assuming some of you are not 20. Yeah, so look at the lines. This is Geneva in the corner right there. We had 350 people showing up out of nowhere. And we've been doing this for years. The idea is to create that fear of missing out effect, but the best part is some of these were advertised in the simplest way possible. The idea that I always reverse engineer whenever I do a marketing campaign is how do you make people resonate with the brand to the highest possible degree? And that's why everybody first used to tell me that it might just be the Dunkin' Donuts brand because it's so powerful. Somehow people are doing the same with Subway all of a sudden. And that's just because we study the target audience, we see what they want, and we try to deliver the maximum promise that we possibly can. With Dunkin', it's about giving you the best possible donuts. And yes, the donuts are amazing. Try them. They're handmade. Every single morning we deliver fresh. In Subway, we do the reverse. In Subway, we try to give you the freshest possible, healthiest snacks that we possibly can. This is something I can say on record. I won a bodybuilding tournament. Don't judge me right now, but when I was younger, I won a bodybuilding tournament eating Subway every single day. No PEDs, no steroids, nothing. So I was somebody who always wanted to work with a Subway brand. When I got the chance to work for it, I tried to make sure that I perpetuate that message to everybody. You can eat Subway 3 to 5 times a day. I eat Subway 3 to 5 times a day. I cannot do this with some of the other brands that I'm either working with or the other brands that you might assume I'm talking about. So I eat it 3 to 5 times a day. It's healthy, it's fresh, and this is the message we're trying to perpetuate, but we're trying to tell this to the target audience in the way they want to be spoken to. Now, let's talk about Skims by Kim Kardashian. Okay, this is technically a celebrity-led brand, but let's be honest, celebrities kind of are influencers. Skims, by the time I was making this presentation, was valued at $4 billion, and it's one of the highest valued shapewear brand. Her approach is completely different. Kim Kardashian, she's focusing on inclusivity and diversity, and if there's a market for it, people go after it. And this is why they try to focus on celebrity and influencer engagements and collaborations. That is what's leading them to compete with the bigger brands. This is another one from Germany, Pamela Reif. You can actually find this in Switzerland. This is a brand called Naturally Pam. A lot of people, they buy Naturally Pam in Switzerland and Germany because everybody grew up watching her workouts on YouTube. Lucas, my filmmaker right here, he purchased a product the other day, and it was kind of funny because I grew up watching this guy called Peter McKinnon on YouTube. You guys will not know I'm a camera nerd, so I look up a lot of camera stuff. And the product that he ordered, I was just looking up his camera gear, and I realized when I flipped the box, it said by Peter McKinnon. So the people that I ended up watching when I was younger, now that he's growing up, for him, Peter McKinnon is the brand that he's going to go after to buy his products, and he's not buying products from Sony or Canon directly. What was it, Lucas? A Polaroid filter or a Nuclear? It's an ND filter. An ND filter is something you put on the camera. Sorry, camera nerd knowledge. That you put on the camera. Do you have it on you right now? No? Okay, so it's an ND filter that he bought. And because Peter McKinnon is the guy who made the YouTube video, he taught him how to use an ND filter, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure it's just as good as another big brand store. But because he ended up watching the YouTube videos of him explaining it, it almost feels like he owes him something by by buying his product. And that's why he ended up buying Peter McKinnon's ND filter. So anyway, What do all of these brands have in common? Let's figure that out. Well, number one, each brand fits the niche of the influencer. So you can't just randomly get an influencer who's doing fitness and talk about donuts. Pamela Reif talks about sports because she's a fitness influencer. Emma Chamberlain, she's more relatable. She's talking about lifestyle. That's why she's doing coffee. It only works if it actually fits your brand. If it doesn't fit your brand image, it doesn't work. Duh. You're nodding really heavily, so you clearly agree with me. People start buying it not because of the product, but because of their connection to the person. The reason why so many how-to videos work so well on YouTube is because when they're teaching you something for free, you almost feel like you owe it to them by supporting their cause. And that's where you end up doing it subconsciously. That's one thing. And the second thing is, yeah, Peter McKinnon is solving this problem from cameras. Let me think about solving it the same way. So you almost want to put yourself in the shoes of that person. It used to be the opposite a couple decades back, where you talked about pop culture. Here, these days we have subcultures. He loves Peter McKinnon. For him, he's the best guy ever, but he has no clue about what somebody else is following, and neither does he care, which is not a bad thing. It's good, because now we have more diverse interests. Then, influencers sell for 3 specific reasons. If you can if you can fit in this Venn diagram somewhere with values, trust, and connection, you will always end up selling to your target audience. Christian's way of connecting to the target audience yesterday was he called me up and he said, hey, those dumplings that I tried at the convenience house office, can we bring them in? I think it will be a good fit for the brand, because the brand shared the values of Screver. We had a connection because of the food, and he trusts me to do a good job by delivering that. I'm assuming that that's why you called me. Even if not, just nod your head. Just agree with me. But what does any of this have to do with you? Good question. Let me give you quick takeaways, and because I told you I'm here to talk to you, I would rather have you ask some questions. Let's interact a little bit, let's talk a little bit, and then I'll leave you to it. So one thing, don't underestimate the power of a brand ambassador to take your brand from A to B. A lot of people think that it's expensive to get a brand ambassador, but you'd be surprised. Just think about what niche you're in, find the right person for that niche, find the right brand ambassador, make them talk about it. If somebody else talks about it, it's more important. What people say about you outside the room is more important than what they say about you in the room. Number 2, be very careful with who you partner with. This is an important one. I mentioned a car company earlier in the presentation. I'm not going to name it, Tesla. Like if you end up not sharing the values of the target audience, it could not end up in the direction that you would want it to. So be careful who you partner with. If you have a brand ambassador, make sure you pick the brand ambassador the right way. By the way, good karma everybody's way. I hope whoever is doing whatever succeeds with whatever whoever is doing. But yeah, be careful who you partner with. Don't get random people to speak at your conferences. Don't get random people to represent your brand. That part is pretty obvious. But yeah, create products that fit the personality of the customers who are buying your products. Like you have, if your coffee customers like matcha, give them matcha. Don't say, no, this is Switzerland, we will give them Swiss coffee. People ask me, why did Dunkin' Donuts succeed? Why did we go, if you look at our sales, it actually was like a double-digit rise, especially in the beginning. And the reason why is because we don't look at them as Swiss people or, actually, good example, we're talking about Gen Z right now. When I talk to people, people ask me, why do you know so many people under the age of 30? You're clearly over 30. And the answer is, when I meet people over 30, their first question to me is, where are you from? That's their first question. Then I tell them where I'm from. They're like, but where are you really from? And then they ask, what's your mother tongue? And then I tell them English. They say, what's your father tongue? I say English. And they say, what's your next one? When I meet people over 20, under 30, particularly the 20 to 25-year-olds, it's actually insane. There were moments where 8 months later, 1 year later, I'm like, you never asked me where I'm from. They're like, I don't really care. Because the way they interact is, are you a Fortnite guy? Are you a Minecraft guy? Are you a Disney person, or are you a this person or that person? And if you know this about the people of that generation, they're pretty easy to target. If you know that they're Minecraft people, talk to them in Minecraft terms, they will get it. They'll be like, that's the guy. You know what I mean? So what a lot of people told me is, this product will succeed or that product will succeed. Completely agnostic to what the customer data says. If you look up, when I came here like 5 years ago, when I looked up the data of the Swiss customer, I was pretty surprised by how many of them play video games. I was really surprised by how many of them are sci-fi people. The average Swiss person is not who you think they are. And that's where the more you dig down into the analytics, the more you dig down into what they really like, start targeting them for who they are and not where they're born. And this is where you will succeed in China, Timbuktu, wherever you grew up or go. Anyway, and that's where you will also come up with the right brands. That's where a company like Screver comes in. And I'm also using Screver for the brands that I'm working with because I have to say he showed it to me 3 years ago. And I tried to introduce it a lot earlier as well because I was like, this is to me more important than anything else that I'm doing. If I don't have analytics and if I don't have data, and I have to say, and I'm not saying it because he's here, I came back to him after 3 years just because I said, listen, I need the best possible way to study my target audience. Next week, we have an activation actually with Duncan. On the 18th of June, we are opening a store in Glatt Tower in Duncan. And Screver is one of the main key components of that activation because when they come in, they have to scan and there's a bit of gamification that we're utilizing it for. And Screver has a good part to play in that. And what I'm saying Screver because I'm using it, but the idea is data. The idea is algorithms and AI and how do you study it, because when I called him and I said, hey, I need it for researches and surveys, etc., he was almost offended because he said, you're really underutilizing this tool because you need to know what else I can do with this tool. And he's absolutely right. The more you use it in your favor, the better it gets for you. Anyway, curate the identity of the very people you work with. So this is one thing that I say as well. Yes, you can get cheaper brand ambassadors, but you owe it to them by curating the very identity of these people. I feel pretty strongly about this particular part because what I noticed when I got here, I was one of the only people talking about influencer marketing, TikTok marketing, and people were like, why are you using this Chinese app? Or why are you using influencers? No, we need a billboard. We need TV commercials, blah, blah, blah. One of the videos that I showed you earlier, actually, let me show you. Scroll back here. The Dunkin' Donuts campaign that we did. Because this is an argument I have with a lot of people from a lot of generations regularly. You see the third video right there? All I did was one particular video with one influencer, and that was it. That was my entire marketing plan. My budget was just lying around, and everybody was confused why I was doing it this way. And to everybody, it looked like a bold risk. If I show you the sales numbers, it's even the ROAS and the ROI is insane. And I was pretty confident that it would work, but I understand that I have to communicate it to people why it would work, and sometimes it's really hard to communicate that if you don't understand what the younger generation is doing. Luckily, the Dunkin' team was very happy in jumping on board, but I'm going to go back to this particular point. The reason why it works so well is because I try to work with the people who fit the brand, but I owe it to the very influencers that I work with to help them out to curate their identities, because I feel like it's disingenuous for brands to contact these 20, 24-year-olds, not help them at all, do absolutely nothing for them. They get hundreds and thousands of millions of views. They use them for a video, throw their privacy out of the window, and then they toss them out. And then what ends up happening is we end up with a lot of kids who have mental health issues because they have, every time they walk out, they know that somebody's recognizing them, but they just made a few $100 and not a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? So that's where, as brands, it's our responsibility. The onus is on us. If you work with these kinds of people, particularly the younger ones, you should help them out a little bit. And this is where I took it very personally. It brings me to number 5. I could write a book about this. Oh, well, I wrote a book about this. Yes, it's outside. So, this is a book that I wrote with my co-author. It just came out a month ago. And it's all over the world, in the US, in the UK, in Barnes & Noble, all the big box retailers, Switzerland as well, in Oral Fuseli, Ex Libris, etc. What I noticed was I was getting deja vu because 10 years ago when I used to talk about digital marketing, everybody was arguing with me on Facebook and YouTube, 15 years ago. And everybody would say, no, we don't need this Facebook stuff. We need TV commercials. We need this, we need that, blah, blah, blah. I feel like it's happening again right now with influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is not a thing that's happening right now. It's been happening for like the last 7, 8 years. The fact that I'm still debating about this is insane. What I noticed, however, and this is the crazy part that will blow your mind. How many of you have a 20-year-old sitting at home? 20 to 28? Okay. 3, 4 people? Perfect. Did you ever ask them what their career of choice is? What do they want to do? This? No? Okay. So you'd be surprised by over 60% of Generation Z. You could play along and just say, and just agree with me. No, it's okay. Over 60% of Generation Z, their preferred career of choice is actually to become an influencer. So here's the beauty. And by the way, you might not even know what they're actually thinking, because the best part is the schools will not teach them how to do it. The parents will be like, no, my daughter is not going to be an influencer. You'd be surprised by how many times I hear that. And how many kids contact me on a daily basis saying, hey, listen, I really want to be an influencer, but my dad is not letting me do it, or my mom is not letting me do it. And they hear things like, it's not a real career. You will not make money. You will throw your privacy out of the window. Some of it could be true, depending on the person. But the problem is they want to do it anyway. They will throw their privacy out of the window. They will start uploading content. And the next thing you know, nobody's teaching them how to do it correctly. And that's where I decided to make this book. Because to me, I wrote it as a marketing book because you have McGraw-Hill and all these big authors who are doing all these course books that if you want to be a marketer, you do this. If you want to be a brand specialist, you do XYZ. And so if you want to be an influencer, there are different ways you can succeed. And it's not just the people who want to be influencers by creating content for themselves. I call it the content creator's compass because it's also for brands. Because what I'm doing with influencers is exactly what I'm doing for my brands. To me, each brand is an influencer. And how they influence their customers has the same principles as what an influencer would do on a daily basis. And so we wrote this book, her and I. Funny enough, she used every single thing that we wrote in this book. She started off with 50,000 followers. She's at 500,000 right now. And the reason why this book came about is because I would talk to a lot of kids about these things. I would say, hey, do this or do that, just in the right back. Luke and I were just talking about some random stuff about content creation. So she would just take notes. And then just a few months later, we noticed, hey, we have a lot of notes on our hands. Let's write a book about this. We reached out to a publisher. Lo and behold, we got a book. Yeah, so if you want to delve into it, or just yesterday, I was pretty happy to see that one of the dads came up to me and he said, listen, I want to give this to my daughter. So if they do it correctly and not throw their privacy out of the window. And that's the kind of support that I think parents should provide, because you can't stop them anymore. It's not like an uninvent this, everybody's doing it. It's about doing it correctly. Anyway, now I would just open up the floor to questions. By the way, A&W is the other company that I started with. This is my agency. We do animation, film content, and marketing, etc. So this is also part of the Convenience House umbrella right now.